Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Back in the garage today with my daughter's 99 Honda Accord. And today I'm going to see if I can bring some life back into these stock OEM Honda wheels. Take a closer look here. Now, we bought this car a while back for 700 bucks. We've tried everything to get these wheels looking good, but it's just not working. And as you can see, there's a lot of pitting, corrosion going on, and then there's some curb road rash here, which we probably won't be able to do much with. But I'm probably going to have to sandblast these, and then I'm going to throw some gloss black paint on them. And then I was thinking about doing a gray graphite color in these little triangles to make it look a little different. So we'll see how it turns out. So real quick, show you some of the stuff I'm going to be using today. Got some 3M masking tape. Also got these index cards. I've seen people use these and it seems to work pretty good. And then I also got this hand mask film, which I may try. Has a plastic and tape already on it, so I may try that to help protect the tire from overspray. Got some self-etching primer, which is recommended when you're painting aluminum stuff. And this is that Duplicolor wheel paint, graphite color I'll be using on the triangle areas. And then of course the gloss black. And I'll follow that up with some clear coat to help protect. And then I also brought out some alcohol, which I'll use to clean the surface before I start painting. And this is a sandblaster I'll be using. You can get this at a Harbor Freight. I think it's like 31 bucks, and it just hooks up directly to your air compressor. And then the sand I'll be using is coal slag. You can get this at Tractor Supply for 10 bucks for a 50-pound bag. And check out the description. I'll put links to all the stuff I'm using today, so you guys can check that out. And let me go ahead and get these wheels off, and they'll get started. I'm going to go ahead and fill my hopper now with my sand, and I'll probably use this whole 50-pound bag since I'm doing 4 wheels. Alright, so I think I'm ready to start sandblasting. And when you guys are doing this, it makes a huge mess and shoots sand all over the place. So you may want to pick a good spot where it doesn't matter if you make a mess. Luckily I got this field next to my house, so it works pretty good. And then got my compressor rolled out here. I got a 33 gallon, so the bigger the compressor you have, the better that sandblaster is going to work, and it's going to be faster as well. Also, before you guys get started, you may want to put on some long sleeves and some pants and grab a face shield or some kind of mask to protect you from getting pelted by the sand. Alright, so I finished up sandblasting, and here's how the wheels turned out. They look pretty good. This is where the pits were. You can still kind of see them, but if you run your finger over them, they're pretty smooth now. And then all that corrosion that was along the inside of the wheel here is pretty much gone. so it looks pretty good. But I'll show you on this one wheel though. This one had some pretty deep scratches, as you can still see them here. So I wasn't able to get those out. I guess if you wanted to, you could use some spot putty or glaze putty to fill those in and sand them out, but I'm not too worried about them on this car. And then show you, I still got a little bit of sand left. So that 50-pound bag was more than enough to get 4 wheels done. And I even had enough sand to kind of lightly go on the inside just to clean those up a little bit. So that looks better than it was. And like I said, guys, you make sure you want to wear some long sleeves. Have a face shield as you're doing that, because it makes a mess. And as you can see, my arm is just covered in sand. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up first before I start spraying these. So what I'm going to do next is take my alcohol and then just a clean microfiber towel and go ahead and spray down your wheel. Just want to get it nice and clean before we start primering it. And then I'm going to take my index cards. I'll do the index card method. Just take those, try and slide them in somewhat if you can, and then you'll want to overlap them a little bit, kind of like that. Do that all the way around. Alright, so once you get all your cards in place on all 4 wheels, I'm going to go ahead and wipe it down one more time with alcohol before I start spraying. Alright, so we can go ahead and start priming now. Go ahead and grab your primer and start spraying. Alright, and that should be good for the first coat. And then I'm going to let that dry probably about 5 minutes, come back, 5 to 10 minutes, come back and do a second coat on it. I'll go ahead and do the other wheels as well. Alright, so I went ahead and put the first coat of primer on all 4 wheels. So I'll let that dry a little bit. And I forgot to tell you guys, I meant to put some masking tape around the valve stem so I can keep it black, but I totally forgot before I started painting. So if you guys want to keep that black, go ahead and just wrap some masking tape around it. It's too late for me now, so I'll just keep it whatever color I paint it. Alright, so it's been about 10 minutes or so on that first coat, so I'll go ahead and apply the second coat. Alright, so I went ahead and let that second coat of primer dry out for about 30 minutes or so. So now I'll go ahead and start spraying my graphite wheel paint along these triangles here on all 4 wheels. Alright, so I got the first coat of graphite on, so let's go ahead and do a second coat. Alright, so I let that second coat dry, so now I got just enough paint to do a third and final coat on all 4 of these wheels. And then I'm going to let that dry probably overnight, because next I'm going to run some masking tape along the triangles that I just painted. So I want to make sure that paint is totally dry before I do that. Alright, so I let the gray graphite paint dry overnight, and I already started taping some of the wheels. So I'll go ahead and do this last one, and I'll show you guys how I'm doing that. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is just pull these cards, get rid of all these cards. And then what you want to do is grab your 3M masking tape. I use this green stuff because it's really flexible and it works pretty good doing areas like this. And what you want to do is just grab a strip of it, rip it off, and then I start like down here, and then just try to get that lined up as good as you can. And then just follow along. Try to make it as even as possible. And you may have to try different angles to get the way you want it. And then when you get to the end here, you want to press real hard right here, and grab a razor here or a knife, and then just kind of go real slow, but not too deep to where you're getting in the paint, just enough to tear the masking tape, and then follow along that crease that you just made. It's kind of like that, and then you should be able to peel that away. And then you want to grab another strip, and then you'll start where you left off down here. So just try to get that lined up. And then, yeah, same thing. Just follow along the line there. And then when you get to the end, kind of the same thing. Your crease there. And then grab your knife. Follow your crease. And then since that's overlapping, I'm just going to go lightly over this tape here. Just kind of like that, and then go ahead and make sure that's on there nice and sticking good. And then I just grabbed this cheap, I had this laying around, this cheap painter's tape, since that green stuff's more expensive. And then I just gonna cover these triangle areas so I don't get any overspray in there. Just kind of like that, and that should work. So I'll go ahead and do the rest of these holes here. Alright, so before I start spraying the black on, I got a lot of rough areas here from the overspray on the graphite paint. So I'm going to try to get that off. And I'm just going to use some 1000 grit sandpaper and just kind of lightly go over the rough areas here. Alright, once you get that all sanded down, like I said, it doesn't take much. I just was getting some of the burrs off of there that were sticking up, so it's pretty smooth now. Then just grab some compressed air, lightly blow it off real quick. Then I'm going to take some more alcohol, get this cleaned again with my microfiber towel. Okay, and then when you're done with that, just go ahead and double check your tape, make sure everything's sealed up still good. And we'll go ahead and get our cards back in and start spraying. Alright, so before I start putting the cards in and spraying, I went ahead and took out the center cap, and then flipping it over here, I just ran some tape over that center cap hole and the lug nut holes just to keep the overspray from coming underneath here. Alright, so I put all new cards in, all 4 wheels, so I think we're ready to start spraying. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start putting the first coat down. Alright, so it's been about 10 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and hit it with a second coat. Alright, so I let that dry for about 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and rip off our masking tape now. And you don't want to let this dry for too long before you start ripping the tape off. Because if it dries too long, you may take off that top coat. Just poke a hole like that. And then as you're doing this, just kind of be careful because you don't want to touch the paint that you just did. Alright, so I got all the tape pulled off of them, and it looks like they turned out pretty good. Get a closer look at them so you guys can see them. Not too bad. Pretty clean around the lines there. So I'll go ahead and let these dry a little bit longer, and I'll go ahead and shoot some clear coat on them. Alright, I was also just going to show you guys, I'm going to go ahead and do my lug nuts as well. As you can see, I already started primering them. I got some leftover black paint, so I'll go ahead and do these black just to make them look a little better. Alright, so that dried for about 30 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and shoot clear coat now. Alright, so it's been about 10 minutes. We'll go ahead and do the second coat of clear, and then probably wait another 10 minutes, do a third coat, and that should be good. And I'll probably let these dry overnight after that. Alright, so before I start clear coating the center caps, I was going to show you guys, my wife has one of them Cricut machines, so she made this cutout, which I'm going to stick on the center cap, kind of like that, center it, and then I'm going to tape around it, and I'm going to spray it with that graphite paint before I put the clear coat on. Alright, so that's what they look like, and I'll go ahead and shoot a couple quick coats on them and see how they turn out. Alright, let's go ahead and see how they turned out. Turned out pretty good. You can see a little bit of an overspray, but oh well. So I'll go ahead and throw some clear coat on these, and then also throw some clear coat on the lug nuts, and then we should be good, and we can throw them on and see how they look. Alright, so I got the wheels all mounted back onto the car, and here is the finished product. Take a closer look at them. I think they turned out pretty well. Here's what they look like. Center caps turned out pretty good as well. Come along, check out this rear one real quick. So all in all, I think they turned out pretty good. Here's another look. So that's going to do it for the video. Again, this was a 99 Honda Accord that I sandblasted the wheels and went ahead and painted them with Duplicolor black and graphite paint. And if you guys haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I got some more videos on this Honda that you can check out. And give the video likes if you like it. If not, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.